is a buying opportunity. Because once you have the conviction, you're buying more of something at a cheaper price. And every day below fair value is a gift. When it gets above fair value, you have to hedge and you have to risk manage. But today, fair value, 52, 53,000 on the halving, that fair value doubles. Now, I don't think it'll double this time because ordinals allow for transaction fees. So that'll lower the fair value probably to call it 80,000. We'll blow right through fair value again, and we'll go to probably double fair value this cycle. And at that point, investors will hedge or trim, and we'll wait for the inevitable next cycle to buy when it gets below fair value. So that fair value will keep accreting. We'll probably go to 150. Fair value will get to 100. We'll drop probably all the way down to 50 or something. People will be saying it's the end of the world. That's when you want to buy lots. But for me, it's why the top of my Twitter page just says, just buy it.
If you've been anxiously watching the crypto markets and wondering when the right time is to buy Bitcoin, you're not going to want to miss this. Renowned investor Mark Yusko, CEO of Morgan Creek Capital Management, has some game-changing insights that could change the way you view Bitcoin's price dips. In his latest explosive interview, Mark Yusko drops a bombshell revelation that's sure to shake up the crypto world. Brace yourselves, because according to Mark Yusko, every single dip in Bitcoin's price is actually a buying opportunity. That's right, folks. Mark Yusko believes that when you truly understand the value of Bitcoin, those dips become gifts, chances to accumulate more of the world's most powerful computing network at a discounted price. But that's just the tip of the iceberg. Mark Yusko goes on to share his bold predictions for Bitcoin's future, including jaw-dropping price targets and a vision where Bitcoin could potentially replace fiat currencies and nation-states. Mark Yusko envisions a future where Bitcoin could potentially replace fiat currencies and nation-states. He encourages investors to allocate a portion of their wealth to Bitcoin as a long-term store of value, while still maintaining a balance with fiat currencies to meet current obligations. Mark Yusko briefly compares Bitcoin and Ethereum, recognizing Ethereum's larger developer community and its potential advantages for Wall Street adoption. However, he emphasizes Bitcoin's unmatched security and his belief that Bitcoin will ultimately become the settlement layer for assets of value. So, buckle up and get ready to have your mind blown as we bring you the highlights from Mark Yusko's latest must-watch interview.
So I'll leave it at this. So I'm going to do CNBC tonight at 5 o'clock. And in 2018, I was on the same show with Melissa Lee. And while I was on the show, I'm only on for like 6 minutes, but while I was on the show, the price went from 10,000 to 8,000. Like it fell 20% in 6 minutes. And people were like, oh my God, what should we do? I buy it.
Buy.
Like, oh, you'd always say that. You know, like, yeah, I would. Buy it today, buy it tomorrow, buy it next week, buy it next week. Don't buy it all at once, but accumulate over time an amount of ownership of the most powerful computing network the world has ever seen, $30 trillion. And they're going to say 1%. I want 1% of this Bitcoin stuff. So that's $300 billion. Here's the crazy stat, Kelly. That's more money than has ever converted into Bitcoin. There's less than 300 billion that has been converted from fiat into orange coin to make the 1.3, $1.4 trillion of market cap we have today because of the multiplier effect. Right? The people who bought it for pennies on the dollar, like this whale who bought it in 2010 at 30 cents and just sold the other day. Okay. Bank of America says the multiplier is 118. Well, that's a historical artifact because again, people bought it for 10 cents and it's now worth 70,000. That's not going to happen again. From here, the multiplier is probably more like 20. So for every dollar that gets converted to Bitcoin, the market cap will increase about 20. And that number will keep coming down so it's a moving target. But let's just use 20 for round numbers. So that 300 billion turns into 6 trillion. So we're at 1.3 today. That means we're at, call it 7 trillion, which is roughly equivalent to gold, the monetary value. Now there's the other part of gold that's jewelry and chalices. That doesn't count. The monetary value in the central bank vaults is about 6.5, 7 trillion. We'll round up to 7. So that means we're at gold equivalents. That means the price is somewhere in the $350,000 to $400,000 range. And again, people's minds start to melt. And then we go to Satoshis and it feels much better because it's not $400,000 per coin. You know, it's point something dollars per Satoshi. So all of that's going to happen. But then you have the supply change. Bitcoin is your savings account. And over time, when the price gets high enough, you'll take a little bit out, convert it to fiat to live your life until such time as 30, 40, 50 years, however many, when my Zoomer granddaughter, who's 1 today, is an adult, she will live in a world where maybe there are no fiats. There are no nation states. Now, the nation states are going to fight like hell to not have that happen, but it's certainly possible. And the thing about investing, the only way to really create wealth is to invest in something that you believe in before others understand. My pin tweet on Twitter. And when you do that, you have to imagine the unimaginable. And you have to be willing to be chided and teased and criticized and ostracized for your non-consensus action. And it's totally worth it. And so it doesn't mean you need to shift all of your wealth today, because we don't live on a Bitcoin standard. We still have to pay our bills in fiat. We still have to pay our rent in fiat. We still have to pay our mortgage in fiat. We have to pay our taxes in fiat. So we're going to have some balance. And over time, we will have systems where you can borrow against your Bitcoin, right? You borrow against your savings. People do that all the time in their brokerage accounts. They borrow against their stocks so they don't have to sell their appreciated assets and pay the tax. So all of these things, as we go from TradFi to CFI to DeFi, and whether we build it all on Bitcoin, right? Bitcoin, layer 1, safest, most secure network in the world. And L2s, we got more L2s. Lightning didn't quite cut it, but they're new L2s. They're looking pretty interesting. Maybe get L3s and L4s. But remember, all we're trying to do is replicate Visa, ACH, Fedwire, Gold. Once we replicate that, then we're in the digital age. Ethereum has a larger installed base. There's more developer activity. There's more quality developer activity. That doesn't mean the Bitcoin developers are less quality. Some of them are more high quality. But there's a lot of quality development going on in Ethereum. So I won't even compare the two. But there's a lot of quality in Ethereum. And Joe Lubin and that crowd is very tight with Wall Street. So there's probably an inside track there. That said, those of us in the institutional world look at Bitcoin and understand that it is the most secure network the world has ever seen. It is where I do believe all things of value will eventually settle to that chain. The Mona Lisa will settle to that chain. My PFP is going to settle to that chain. Things of value, and mine's not as valuable as the Mona Lisa, but my point is, anything that you think has value, you're going to want to settle to the most secure chain.
Yeah.
The problem with ETH is you're not settling on chain. You're settling to a pointer to an AWS server somewhere that can be taken away from you. I don't like that. I want to settle on chain. And as the world moves on chain, what's been missing to date was a scalable way to do DeFi on Bitcoin. With stacks and other innovations, maybe we're getting closer. There's, last count, 20 new layer 2s and 40 more in development. 1 L3, we need more. But as those layers get created, if you're given a choice, the Lord of the Rings model, which is one chain to rule all chains,